David, welcome and thank you for coming over to Marquee. Can we just start with name, your role and responsibility in Bose Professional?
So my name is David Farrelly. I've been with Bose Professional now for over 16 years. I started off within the store selling Bluetooth speakers and home entertainment systems, and now joined the Pro division. We have our commercial products, which we've developed over the last 50 years. Hospitality is probably our core to conferencing, stadium, live music, theatre, restaurants and retail.
So now in this changing world and what the client expects, do you think that Bose Professional is a traditional company, or in your opinion is there anything more 21st century?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the Bose Professional product range has always been innovative. We supply so many different products because of the spectrum of products you need. If you want to take on a hotel with the Marquee AV team managing that project, we have to support many different aspects. You might have the lobby, the cocktail bar, the lounge, the wine area, the waiting area. So I think firstly you have to have the products and the spectrum of products to be able to support a big project like that. And I think you have to consistently innovate. Now the customer expectations is exactly what you described. It needs to fit in with the ambience.
They're more savvy now than they were 25 years ago.
Definitely.
And their expectations are higher?
Are much higher. And I think also aesthetically as well, gone are the days where you could put a big black box in the center of a lobby and get away with it because it made the sound great. Their expectations is aesthetically it has to fit in, but also it has to still sound as good as a big black box sitting in the lobby. So I think the innovation around the product has meant that we could aesthetically fit in better, but we haven't ever lost the quality of the lifelike sound.
So going back to my word tradition, do you think that you are bringing tradition to 2025 and beyond?
I think it's a mix of both. I don't think I would ever refer to Bose Professional as a traditional brand. I would refer to it as an innovating brand. So innovative, in fact, that we have multiple products released at multiple dates across the year. I think it's hard to innovate with essentially what is physics, trying to move air with loudspeakers. So I'm always pleasantly surprised of what new innovations they bring each year, and I get just as excited as I did 16 years ago when I saw the products then. I think we've taken those best bits and brought it now to the Bose Professional. So that's why I probably say it's a mix of both.
Talking rock and roll, what were your first impressions of the Marquee guys?
Very on rock and roll. So I moved into the Bose Professional systems division, and my manager at the time gave me a list of accounts that I had, and at the time it was quite a lot of accounts, and I knew the Marquee name through the Marquee Club, probably one of the only brands I recognised on that list, in fact. So I rang up Mark, and in a very Mark Brown way he said, order a pizza and arrive at the door, and then whenever next week, and come say hello to the team. And I turned up at the door like a pizza delivery boy and said, I'm David, can I say hello to the team? And he introduced me to Luke and Stacey and Andy Huff, and this was probably 10, 11 years ago now. And it was a great way just to get to know a team that were not stuck up. They understood at the time that I was new to the profession, and they were very accepting of that. But the partnership was key. From then, we built a partnership with the Marquee AV team through those 10, 11 years that year on year has got just better and better.
Relationships are everything.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And going back to the Marquee AV brand, the brand itself has weight, but the people within it are the thing that drives it forward. That's why I think the people stay here. But there's also a new team that are excitable. And again, innovation within that team is great to see, from the marketing side, from the installation. And I think, again, how you stay ahead as probably a brand like Marquee and Bose Professional working together as a partnership. And I think that's quite exciting, because then that's the longevity of the customer. So it goes both ways, right? The manufacturer's working with Marquee AV, but then Marquee AV also working with their customers. The longevity of those customers are easily 20 years old, some of their customers. So your question is it the people? It absolutely, that's the core.
If Marquee AV were a band, which band would they be?
A K-pop band, I would say. I don't know why, but I think they always manage to look young, innovative, and a bit cheeky.
Do I take from that we're talking a boy band?
Mixed. I think they're a mixed team, despite having their core players.
Okay, I'll take that.
Is that okay? Yeah, okay.
What makes Marquee AV unique? The essential thing behind this is a relationship between you as a manufacturer and an innovator. So you think of them working with Soho House and other formidable hospitality brands. Is it, if you ask them in this interview about innovation, that is what they're all about. And I think that is collectively what you're bringing, aren't you? As if both are being innovative and that Marquee are open to new ideas and the way of doing something. That must be a pretty healthy relationship.
I'd say that's the core of making it work. I think that at the heart of it, there's a group mindset to win, and always supporting the end customer, and that being the joint mindset between the manufacturer, Bose Professional, and Marquee definitely helps that. But yeah, just going back to the people, being young at mind, despite we all know Mark Brown is no longer young, the enthusiasm to be young and cool they've managed to do, so they've stayed relevant in this industry extremely well. And I think the people, the brand, and the innovation is the key to that.
From all of that, can you think of the time you spent with Mark Brown and his team? Any sort of example of where you think that the collaboration of Bose Professional with Marquee AV has been not only successful, but has been in harmony? And whether there were any difficulties in that project? Can you remember one that maybe presented itself, that it was going to be a bit more difficult, but was a real success?
We've worked with Marquee AV for so many years on so many different projects. And I think the everyday project that they do extremely well lives within retail and the hospitality sector, which they're so familiar with that you're kind of guaranteed that the project handover is going to be correct, because it's just what they do and they do a great job doing it. So I'll say some of the projects that are a little bit more interesting is more probably live projects like theatre. One a few years ago now is the Quarter House, which was like a charity theatre in Kent. It didn't have any problems at all, but I remember it being such a unique project, being a live music venue. And we worked with HD Pro and Andy Huffer with this as well, because that's the specialty that he has within the Marquee AV group. But I remember that being quite a unique project that was probably outside the norm. And we've done a few of these, and we've done, like you mentioned, Soho House. We've done lots of unique, prestigious brands, even the rooftops of skyscrapers in London. So we've done that. I could name a list of fantastic, cool projects, but I think that one specifically stands out just because it had so much heart with the charity. And like your question was, how did the combination of Marquee AV and Bose Professional suit a particular project? That one there worked perfectly with the technical ability of Bose Professional and Marquee AV, the choice of product, but also the recognition of both those prestigious brands working with a charity group and seeing the results of having that product change the area, and the small little schools and theatre groups and charity things that came through that after 7 or 8 years of going back to that site. It really changed what that theatre did and levelled up that theatre within its community. So one off the top of my head would definitely be the Quarter House in Folkestone Theatre.
That's a really nice story. Do you get, apart from just being commercial, which you have to be, do you come from a place in your own background, your own love of music? Do you take that as part of delivering Bose Professional, but does it also give you some sort of reward and pleasure that you know that the human voice and that music through the product is important?
What a lovely question. I absolutely do. And going back to your theory of when does music start to affect us, I have 3 children, all under the age of 10. And music, from when I was younger, was such an important aspect, and now music still is. I could listen to music all day and then still go home and listen to music. And seeing my children, before they could walk, recognising music and dancing to it. As children, we dance, right? We can still dance and feel music. Is it the vibration? Is it the voice? I don't know, but something about music affects us as humans from a really young age. So it's such an important part, I believe, of all of our lives. But yeah, absolutely mine. I think the stiff upper lip attitude of British people means we don't talk about crying or laughing or jumping up and down and dancing. But we could all probably relate to a point where we've either been by ourselves in a car and music has moved us to the point of crying or yelling out whatever Madonna track is playing at the time. And it's a real pleasure for me to be able to work within an industry that is also my passion for music. So seeing the end product installed, once we've released a product, once Marquee AV have done their job of finding the project, and doing the great job of installing the project, one of my favourite things is to go to the end user and hear the results. Yeah, I'm lucky to be able to do what I do. Very good, interesting. What are your expectations for the continued growth with the partnership you have between yourselves, Bose Professional and Marquee AV? Well, I've got a few years now until I retire. So firstly, I hope there is continued growth. I absolutely see Marquee AV as in good hands from their side with their management team, and they're fostering a fantastic people and how they support those people coming through from the beginning. If you talk about people like Luke, who joined in the warehouse and now runs Marquee One, like that's someone who's seen his whole career with Marquee and been rewarded for it. So I believe that will continue, and it will continue at Bose Professional. In terms of innovation, we have many new products coming out within the next 5 years. So to look at that aspect of innovation of product, if Marquee continue to do what they're very, very good at, which is installing fantastic projects and keeping customers safe and in good hands and installing quality, then the partnership should continue. It's really exciting 20 years ahead of us.
And if you would have the opportunity to have a chat with your younger self, what would you say to him? Career, private life, personal life?
Find my wife earlier would be definitely one of them. I've been married 10 years, but she's definitely the cornerstone of my life. Professionally, I think, going back to what we spoke about previously, understanding people is probably the core, I would say, for most businesses, but this business that I know quite well, especially this business, I think if you can just be a nice person, represent yourself well, be clear of what you want to do, then people will come along with you and join you for the ride. But I think, yeah, people is at the heart of it. If you can just meet people, be kind, be nice, then the rest kind of fits into place quite nicely.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.